Disabilities Issues and Updates on BCTV is supported by the Berks County Center for Independent Living, Abilities in Motion.
Hello and welcome to Disabilities, Issues, and Updates. I am your host, Teresa Faulkner. Welcome to our show today. Today, our topic is National Nutrition Month, and our guest is Nicole Rhodes. She is a registered dietitian at Penn State Health St. Joseph. Good morning, Nicole. Nice to have you on our programming.
Good morning. Thanks
today.
for having me.
Why don't you just tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
I'm a registered dietitian at Penn State Health St. Joseph. I mostly serve our outpatient areas. I've been here for 14 years, and I love working with our patient population.
Wonderful. Welcome again to our show. National Nutrition Month is celebrated every March. And honestly, I didn't know a lot about this, so when I did some research, I really learned a lot. The theme each month, each year, the month of March, they come up with a theme, and it's basically a lot of nutritionists and dietitians who come together and collaborate on ways that persons can be more healthy. The theme for this year is Celebrate a World of Flavors. And that sounds exciting in itself. One of the things that I suggest that you do, just based on my research, get to know more about this month of celebration and get family and friends to join in this national celebration month. Really a good theme, really a good process. Another thing is physical. Just to be a little more physical, to walk more. We were talking about that this morning on our way in. I had a friend with me from work, and he's a power walker, and he was trying to leave me behind, but I kept up pretty much. So we're going to just talk this morning about just some things concerning National Nutrition Month, and just some things that our viewers can learn and put into practice that they might be healthier, and just enjoy. It can be a lot of fun. I don't know about anybody else, but I like variety of foods, but these are like healthier options, and so I'm glad about that. In this month, Nicole, can you talk to us a little bit about certain things that we should include in the month of National Nutrition Month?
So this year, the main topic is the Celebrate Our World of Flavors. But within each of the weeks, they broke it down into little things that we can focus on and work on each week.
Okay.
So the first week, it was eat a variety of nutritious foods and just focusing on that. Mm-hmm. Second week, seeing a dietitian like myself. The third week was just planning, whether it's meals, snacks, or just overall just being a little bit healthier. And then the last week, which we haven't gotten to yet, is creating tasty foods at home.
Okay. So I was always under the understanding, just me, if you were going to eat healthy, that it was very expensive. Is that true?
I hear that often from a lot of my clients, and I think in today's climate, that's probably more truer than ever. However, there's still a lot of things that we can find at the grocery store that may not be expensive as maybe, for example, some fruit that's out of season. Mm-hmm. So I know even me going to the grocery store right now, some of the berries, they're not in season around here, so they're quite expensive. But there's always the things like the bananas and the bags of apples that tend to be a little bit cheaper, mm-hmm. Pretty consistently. And then there's always this shelf-stable foods. So again, using fruit as an example, we can get canned fruit or the little fruit cups that are a little bit cheaper than buying some of the fresh fruit that might be out of season. So I think, again, in our climate that we have right now, with food prices being a little bit higher, that's probably truer than ever. However, there's still a lot of things that we can purchase at the grocery store that are maybe more budget friendly.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I think about, and I don't have a problem with saying this, but with everything that happened with COVID and the pandemic and work differences and income and just everything being so costly, a lot of us have actually got some help from the food pantries. What does that look like? Are there things that are given at the food pantries that persons could use as a part of this Healthy Nutrition Month?
Yeah. So some of the items that you might get from the food pantry are, again, some of those shelf-stable things. So things like pasta or maybe some canned beans or canned vegetables. Those are great options that you can use in your cooking, and they're very versatile. And again, they last for a long time compared to some of the fresh items. Depending on where you go, some of the fresh items may also be available at certain locations. So again, you may have the option of getting some of the fresh produce that you could use in your cooking, or just have available for a snack. So it again depends on where you go, but they've got some great options for you if you need that assistance. Coming up, we'll also have some of the local farmers markets or farm stands available right here in Reading, which is great.
Nice.
Nice, local, walkable, and some of the vendors do accept some of the SNAP or WIC benefits, access cards, things like that. So if you do have those, you have that availability for the fresh produce. And I think, if I remember correctly, there may be some added benefits at some of the farm stands if you are using those types of payment or vouchers, to get a little bit extra.
Wonderful. Now, I noticed on the website or on the information concerning Nutrition Month, they address something called the My Plate.
So My Plate is our food guidance system. ChooseMyPlate.gov is the website for anybody that is looking for additional resources. My Plate is a good visual of what your plate should look like to include each of the food groups to get each of the benefits from nutritious foods. So the plate is half fruits and vegetables, a quarter for your protein, a quarter for your grain or your starchy side dish, and then including a little bit of low-fat dairy, like a glass of milk with your meal. So it's a nice visual to help with portion sizes, as well as making sure you're getting that good variety of nutritious foods. There's also, like you mentioned, a lot of good resources. So they have great recipes that include fruits and vegetables, which most people don't get enough of, as well as just general healthy new recipes if you're looking for something new. And like we were just talking about, celebrating the world of flavors, lots of different cultural recipes could be on there, ways to make them a little bit healthier. Just a lot of great resources there.
Good. And I wanted to let our viewers know Giant Food Stores has a great program for Nutrition Month. They're actually offering cooking classes. They're educating as far as what foods, what things to eat or not to eat, and exercise is very important in this particular process.
Yes, a lot of the grocery stores are offering virtual classes, so definitely take advantage of those. And I always say my job is nutrition. We talk a lot about food, but that exercise component is super important in all of it too, especially when we look at our rates of obesity. Again, it's not only just the food, we've got to incorporate that physical activity as well.
Does persons need to see a dietitian if they're looking at making more healthier choices? What do you say about that? Is it necessary to see a dietitian or a nutritionist in reference to being more healthy?
I think for certain populations, there's a great benefit to seeing a dietitian because we can tailor things specifically to you. So for example, you may be overweight, but maybe you have high cholesterol too. So trying to figure out how to incorporate low cholesterol foods plus work on the calories and trying to get healthier foods in portion sizes, sometimes it gets a little complex, especially for those individuals that may have multiple medical issues. I often hear when people are sitting in my office, like, I have this, I have that, and I just don't know how to incorporate it all together. And that's where we come into play.
Okay.
So we can help you figure things out and navigate, maybe figure out what are your top priorities and what needs to be fixed now, as well as things that we can continue to kind of work on over time. And again, we can just kind of help problem solve. There are some people, that may just be able to look for certain references, like we said, like using the MyPlate and things like that. If you don't have as many medical issues and things aren't as complex, then you might be able to do a little research on your own. But I think for certain individuals, the benefits of seeing a registered dietitian probably are a good thing.
Is that the case even in the event you might have what they call food allergies, like persons that deal with a lot of food, peanut oils and things like that? Is that an issue for them too, if they're thinking about going, to be more healthy?
Yeah, absolutely. When you start having food allergies, or even I have some people that have food sensitivities, again, trying to navigate, food labels and cutting whole things out of your diet is a hard thing to do. And I've even had some adults that get diagnosed with food allergies, so they've been able to eat things all of their life, and now all of a sudden you have to try to, again, figure out and navigate these changes, and that's where, again, we can come into play and kind of help with figuring all of those things out.
Right. Something you were saying, you said food allergies and then food sensitivities. What's the difference?
So a food allergy is a true allergen that your body attacks, whereas a sensitivity, there's no good way to diagnose food sensitivities. It's more based on how people feel. So gluten is a big sensitivity for a lot of people, where they might experience like some bloating. So it's not necessarily that immune response to the food that you're consuming or that food particle. But just, again, perhaps you might feel better if you avoid the certain things that you might be sensitive to.
Oh, okay. Never heard that. Wonderful. Let's just talk a little bit about, I know in the beginning it said that you should include foods from all food groups. You talked of like beans and lentils and all those meatless type things. Let's just give our viewers what a MyPlate would look like from your perspective as a dietitian.
Okay. So again, half of your plate fruits and vegetables. I find that a lot of people that come to my office, that's really what's lacking. A lot of our diet is meats and grains. So by just adding that simple side vegetable or a side salad, that can really go a long way as far as trying to be a little bit more healthful. So again, if we just do half a plate like salad, a quarter of your plate would be like a protein or your meat choice. And as you just mentioned, it can also be meatless too. So you can have beans or a veggie burger as your protein for your meal. That would be very common for somebody that's a vegetarian to do. If you're just trying to be a little bit healthier, you can go meatless. So again, quarter of your plate for whatever protein you're deciding to have for dinner. And then the other quarter of your plate would be reserved for your grain. So some healthy grains would be like brown rice or some wheat pasta or some quinoa. Again, fill up about a quarter of your plate for an appropriate portion size. And then again, adding that little bit of low-fat dairy on the side to round out all the different food groups. Going back to the salad, you could even add a little bit of fruit to your salad. I love adding, the mandarin oranges or some chopped up apple, some strawberries or blueberries. They give your salad a lot of different flavor. And again, then we incorporate all the different food groups.
And it is okay if you're going out to eat. You just have to manage more portion control. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm one that allows everything, and we can fit things in. So if you are going out to eat, you have got some different options there. I think a lot of the restaurants are getting better as far as offering healthy choices. They know their patrons want that. So some of those things are even highlighted on the menus. If you know you're going out and you just really want that hamburger and fries, maybe you the rest of the day try to eat a little bit healthier to allow yourself to be able to indulge a little bit. If you're really trying to maybe watch your weight or watch, cholesterol or whatever else you might be needing to watch, take a look at the menu ahead of time. Instead of sitting at the restaurant and trying to figure out what can I eat, do your homework ahead of time and kind of plan ahead and see, do they allow substitutions? Is a lot of the menu unhealthy things? Maybe you might want to choose to go to a different restaurant. Or again, just kind of saying, okay, I'm going to allow myself to indulge a little bit when I go out, so the rest of the day I'm going to eat a little bit better.
So I've always wanted to ask someone the question, when you're going to do something special or you really want to have this special dessert, is it good to go ahead and eat it, but avoid eating the rest of the day? What say you about that?
No, we still need to eat. Like I said, maybe just make healthier choices, or perhaps if it's a really indulgent dessert, maybe you might want to share it with whoever you're going out with so you get a little bit less. Again, there's nothing wrong with going for that little bit extra treat that you might want, but going all day without eating to make up for those calories, that's not a good idea either.
Not a good idea. All right. What about the reading of labels? When you go to the store, I see a lot of people in the market and they're reading labels. It seems like a tedious process, and it could be overwhelming at times. Is there an easier way to read labels and understand them?
Again, that's where a registered dietitian can come in and help you if that's something that you're struggling with. Again, if you're looking for specific things on the label, so if you're looking for fats and cholesterol if you have heart problems, or maybe if you have some gastrointestinal things that you might need to watch out for, and maybe you need a high or a low fiber diet. Or again, if you need to reduce your sodium intake if you have high blood pressure. Those are specific things that you're looking for on the label. And I think sometimes if you just focus in on what is your need, it makes that label reading a little bit easier. They did change the food labels within the last couple of years, so I think it's a little bit easier to read than the old ones were. They've highlighted some specific things, changed some of the percentages or milligrams, grams, the units that they're measured in. So I feel like it's a little more user-friendly now than it used to be. And usually it just takes time. Whenever I'm coaching somebody on reading the food labels, I always tell them it is going to take more time in the beginning. But once you're used to what you're looking for and checking those numbers and where it is on the label, things do get easier in time. And I always say too, we're creatures of habit.
Okay.
So we tend to buy the same things. So I know when I go to the grocery store, I'm usually looking for the same products that I always buy. So once you know that a product is the right one for you, next time you go to the grocery store, you can go right to it versus having to take the time and actually read the entire label.
And I know I'm the kind of person too, I want to see results right away. And if I don't see results right away, it can be a little discouraging. What can we do? How can we encourage each other when we don't see the results that we want to see right away?
That's a hard thing. When you're putting in a lot of work, you want to see the change. You want that validation for all that hard work that you're doing. And especially when we're talking weight loss, for example, that's something that takes time. We're not going to see those immediate results. And I always look for what I call the little wins. So for example, maybe you've been focusing on reducing your blood pressure and avoiding the high salt foods. So, if your blood pressure comes down, great, that's what we want to see. Or sometimes it's even how you feel. I had somebody the other day that we were talking, they did lose some weight, but I said, how do you feel about all of this? Like, are you feeling more energy? Are you just feeling better overall? And the answer was yes. And sometimes that's bigger than any goal that we may have set for ourselves.
Absolutely. Well, Nicole, we've talked about a lot of things, but I think our audience would like to hear something about a recipe. Do we have any recipes we can talk about concerning the Nutrition Month?
So before the show, we were even talking, again, those resources and looking online. You had mentioned the one through the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics for National Nutrition Month, just kind of exploring new options. Again, we're creatures of habit. We probably tend to use the same recipes. I'm guilty of that as well. But just, trying to expand a little bit and get maybe out of your comfort zone a little. Don't be afraid to experiment with some herbs, spices. Again, just overall trying things that maybe you've never tried before. So again, use those resources. Maybe look for some new cookbooks. Look for recipes that include all of the different food groups. So try to maybe find a recipe that has some protein and maybe some vegetables in it, or like we just talked about, maybe a new salad recipe that incorporates some of the fruit in there too, because that's something a lot of people don't do. So again, just don't be afraid to reach out and try new things.
I employ those that are watching today to actually go on the website and look and see what information you personally can find out about Nutrition Month and how you and your family, this is a wonderful time. The season, spring is almost upon us. Gardening is going to take place. I know there are a lot of persons who, they actually grow herbs in their home and then they use those to do some of their recipes and so forth. So great activities are on their way, and we're soon going to be able to be outside and to be with others. The COVID, a lot of things have been lifted. So it's a wonderful time for families and friends to create events together and then be able to support and encourage each other as they're working toward their goals and so forth. Nicole, do you and your family take part in Nutrition Month, or do your children always help you in the kitchen?
I have 2 daughters, and they love being in the kitchen with me, so I'm lucky in that regard. And in our household, we've always had fruits and vegetables as part of meals, so for them, it's not really anything different. I know I was even talking this morning with somebody at work, and we were saying a lot of people don't incorporate those things. It's just not part of, again, our routine or perhaps even our culture. So to make the change and reach out and try new things. I have a lot of kids that say, "Oh, I don't like my vegetables," and I always tell parents, just try new things, get them in the kitchen and help. Again, let them pick out which ones they want to try, and we can do that as adults too.
Wonderful, wonderful. So that's your assignment, viewers, for this month. Get on the computer, learn about National Nutrition Month. If a person is interested in getting a dietitian or a nutritionist, who can they contact?
I would start with maybe your family doctor or whichever provider might be treating you for a certain condition, if that applies to you. And just getting a referral. Usually they have their resources, whether it's the registered dietitians at hospitals or perhaps some locally that are in private practice. Lots of different areas to find dietitians in the area here. So I would start maybe, with a healthcare provider that could point you in the right direction.
Right. And I think most of it, they can actually talk to their primary physician. If they're interested in finding someone, they can also talk to them and they would be able to direct them. Nicole, I want to thank you for being our guest, and I want to thank you for sharing information on the Let's Celebrate a World of Flavors. Boy, that's I can see a recipe coming in my mind. I want to thank you for being a part. We want to let our viewers know that our programming in the upcoming months are going to deal with recreation, those that have disabilities. There are events and places that you can go to enjoy the outdoors. So be prepared, take notes. We thank you for being a part of our show, and we are excited and we look with anticipation to see how National Nutrition Month helped you in this present time. Have a great day, everybody.
Disabilities Issues and Updates on BCTV is supported by the Berks County Center for Independent Living, Abilities in Motion.